Janet Murguia was born and raised in Kansas City, Kansas, not your typical Hispanic community.
Latinos have been present across this country in different communities for generations. We had a Mexican-American community, in many ways tied to the railroads. Mom always taught me to be compassionate and to help others. My dad taught me to stand up for myself and to not back down when I needed to be strong. I remember my father talking about, even at his workplace, being directed to a different bathroom, and how that made him feel, and what that was like, and the sense of how wrong that was. My parents, I think, have inspired not only my sense of justice, but my sense of passion.
The Murguia family may have been short on finances, but the values her parents instilled, faith, family, education, and a strong work ethic, made them rich beyond measure.
You don't know you're poor when you're growing up, and I think that's something that is actually an asset for our community, that we find great satisfaction in family.
We find a little bit of our own story in her story when you hear about the siblings and the parents and striving to continue to be the best that you can.
As we were growing up, I know that probably one of the most important things that we saw from my parents was the importance of the values that they shared with us. Maybe it was because they themselves didn't have much of an education. My dad had a 7th grade education, my mom a 5th grade education. They very much understood the value of an education.
Murguia's parents' emphasis on education certainly paid off. Brother Ramon graduated from Harvard Law. Plus, 2 Murguia siblings are federal judges.
I think Mary and I decided we weren't just going to let the guys go to law school, that we should try to go to law school as well. But I chose, after law school, to go to Washington, D.C., and to be part of the law in a bigger way, I guess.
Fresh from law school, she worked on Capitol Hill for Kansas Congressman Jim Slattery. Her hard work landed Janet in the Clinton White House.
I became the chief House liaison, the person who represents the president in the House of Representatives. But then I became deputy director of the Office of Legislative Affairs with an office in the West Wing. A notion that this young Mexican-American girl could be at the center of the most important area of power in this country, that's quite a journey.
After 6 years with the Clinton administration, Janet returned to her alma mater as Vice Chancellor of University of Kansas. Then one day, Bill Richardson called and encouraged Murguia to return to D.C. for a seat at the helm of the National Council of La Raza.
One of the things that I've worked on as the head of NCLR has been to build bridges with other communities of color and other communities, period.
She is one that really looks at collaborating not only with sister organizations, but also with all communities.
And I remember marching with John Lewis, who back then in the 60s was a student and today is a revered member of Congress. There were thousands and thousands of individuals representing the African American community and whites, but also the Latino community.
She's built very effective bridges with the African American community, with the Asian community, with the Native American community, and all the way across the board around the idea that we've got common challenges and common benefits. And Janet's got this personal charm and this sense about herself that's really contagious.
Seeing Janet and just seeing the confidence that she has and the wealth of knowledge that she brings to the table on a national scope. She has so much passion for it, and then that's very inspiring.
Latinos and African Americans are going to change this country.
Janet Murguia is driven, recognized throughout the country as a passionate civil rights leader, and yet she still gives Mom and Dad all the credit.
I was able to take my parents into the West Wing of the White House and to meet President Clinton, who I was working for at the time. My dad wore his best suit, and my mom had a dress on, you know, her Sunday dress. Well, she had her Sunday dress on that day. When she was entering the Oval Office, said, "¿Cómo llegamos hasta aquí?" And my dad stuck his hand out to President Clinton, first thing, and he said, "Mr. President, thank you for giving my daughter this opportunity." And the president put his arm on my dad's shoulder, and he said, "You know what, Mr. Murguia? I hired Janet, and she walked you into this office, but you're the ones who got her here." And I think that to me is emblematic of the journey of so many of our parents and grandparents who came before us.
You can't help but be inspired by her.
She can share from her own experience, you know, what it means to be a new immigrant family, what it means to kind of come up from the community.
At NCLR, Janet is known as an inspirational leader, imparting the wisdom her parents taught with everyone she meets.
The fact that they were able to work so hard and leave a legacy of sacrifice and of optimism and big hopes and dreams, to know that our journeys today are really the fulfillment of their journeys and our long struggle for our community, to see those opportunities fulfilled is something that will always be, for me, a special memory. And it will always be part of my sense of purpose going forward at the helm of NCLR or wherever I go.